All right, here with Chris Perillo at East Village Books. Hello, Chris.
Hello. I was just catching up on some William Shakespeare.
Excellent.
Shakespeare.
So, Chris you grew up in Des Moines, right?
Yes.
Okay, and you're back here this weekend visiting friends and family, and kind enough to join us out at a Des Moines Tweet Up. Thank you.
Yes.
So, earlier we were talking about RSS feeds and how Twitter has replaced that for you. Can you explain that a little bit and how that's happened?
Well, way back in the day, we used to have to visit web pages to get our information, and they wouldn't tell us when they were updated. We had to go there manually. Yeah, that's using our hands. Well, then along came this technology called RSS. Well, it's been argued that part of it was RDF, RSS, Atom, doesn't matter. The idea was you could subscribe to something and then it would come to you when it was ready. So now Twitter being there and being this flood of information that allows me to spot trends in general has suddenly transcended and in many ways supplanted the information I used to receive in my news aggregator. I don't visit a lot of websites anymore. I really don't subscribe to anybody's RSS feed if they're relevant. For the moment I want them to be relevant, then I'm finding out about them through Twitter. And I'm able to follow people, believe it or not, easier using Twitter. As disorganized as it is, it's really a lot easier to discover personalities and, reading what people are doing, seeing what people are doing, hearing what people are doing through Twitter rather than through this, very outmoded mechanism known as a news aggregator. But that's just me.
Sure. So, you live in Seattle, correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so talk about Des Moines a little bit. You grew up here and now you're back. What sorts of things does Des Moines have to do to retain and attract a creative class?
Yeah. Imports. Because honestly, the chief export of the Midwest is people. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that because I'm being sarcastic. It's because it's the absolute truth. The problem with that issue in general is that as much as you could hope to attract other people who share a similar mindset, to change the culture is next to impossible. It's like tilting at windmills to make someone understand something that hardly half the world really understands. And that's a frustration. It's a big frustration. The path of least resistance is to find your way to groups, physical meetups with like-minded people, whether they have the same background, same affinities or not. If they are like-minded, future thinkers, or understanding the value of community, whether it's community online in an ad hoc basis like Twitter, or in an organized basis like Meetup, where you meet online and then meet up in meet space, real space, physical space, where real books exist. Before Wikipedia, we had this, and it sucked. I'm sorry, I'm not a big Bill Shakespeare fan. Never have been. Even online, he sucks. Sorry, don't want to offend. But that's what would happen, is I would typically offend people with my, I can be boisterous at times, and certainly with my information overload ability. I think I just made that a word or a phrase, or I'm making it now. It would overwhelm people because it was unfamiliar to the culture. Even back in 1992, when the internet was first being connected at universities, and students like myself at that time were given access to it. When I was ready to do things online in a professional capacity, it was still very difficult to work in Iowa because people just didn't understand. And I come back here now, 2008, and it's still, things are changing, but you can't change the culture. The culture has to change itself. It has to be shown that technology isn't this thing to be feared. It's to be embraced, and they're using technology anyway. It's not the internet. It's how you use this tool to impact every aspect of your life, personally or professionally. And whether that's through video cameras that are quite simple, overly simple, and accessible for people to just start recording these experiences they have and sharing them with the greater world. That's a cultural shift. It's a monumental shift. And Iowa's infrastructure may be there, but its mind structure is just gone. It's not even close to living in this century. And that's not a slight against everybody. It's just an absolute reality. Iowa is sitting on top of, like we are standing on top of probably one of the most complex technological marvels that I've ever known of, the ICN, the Iowa Communications Network, that is just all this fiber that could connect these disparate communities and connect them not only within themselves, but with the world. And I don't know, I think a lot of people from smaller towns don't want that. But whether they want it or not, it's inevitable. The internet's not going away. It's not a fad. It's a reality. And you're going to find yourself more connected with someone who lives in Ireland than you do your next door neighbor. And that's something that I've discovered. It was very difficult to discover that here in Iowa because I was tilting at windmills, and it really wore me down. One of the best things I ever did was leave the state, sadly. And it's very sad to come back. But thank God there are people here who are like me. I appreciate that. I'm no longer the ugly duckling. We're like a bunch of ugly ducklings, and you know what? I'm fine with that. But the only way to change that culture is to teach that culture. It's not keeping it inside an echo chamber and talking about all these fancy gears and gizmos and widgets. Make it real. Make connections with people, whether that be online or whether that be offline. Teach, educate, show them that this is not something to be feared. And when you organize yourself that way, you're going to find your treasures are just going to come pouring in, whether they be financial or just spiritual.
Excellent. All right. That was great. Thank you, Chris.
Sure.
Appreciate it.